Do any of them still have relationships with her?
No, she has 2 daughters, and neither one of them talk to her.
We've heard from the professional psychiatrist of what she thinks about LIEnette. Now it's time to hear from not one, but 2 stepdaughters, how they lived with this horrific woman. The stepdaughter and another stepdaughter joined in on a live stream where an actual journalist and a professional in this psychiatric field were talking about these legal documents that we've already shown previously. And then the daughters jump in and they discuss their real lives with this real monster. Not a mother, a monster. And even if you've seen this already, I can't stress how important it is to watch this from the beginning to the end. There are more nuggets of gold that you are going to mine out of this and understand what's going on through this very, very multi-layered storyline.
My first really big question I had for you was about how did LIEnette end up being able to take you from your dad when she wasn't related to you?
So she, as everyone knows, is very manipulative. So my dad actually paid child support for my older brothers to their moms. Lacey's not their mom, but she knew that he was behind on payments. So anytime that he would try to come and get me or say anything about talking to me, she would threaten to turn him in for back child support and get him thrown in jail. And she actually did that to anytime, like I think I was 10, my dad had come and got me, and next thing I know, my dad's in jail and she is picking me up. So yeah, it was,
wow.
That
Did
was
she
one of her
actually go to
tactics.
I'm not the first male that LIEnette has made false claims about. You've seen the signs all over town that I'm a child rapist, that I rapped her own daughter. Yet there was no police or sheriff complaint whatsoever. This is her MO. This is the pattern of her life. I'm not the first. I probably won't be the last either. But she comes in, utilizes men, manipulates men, then uses the children to garnish money. And I want to be clear, there are some aspects of this interview that I have actually cut out on purpose based on the content or the language that's not super family friendly. And I hope you can forgive me for that. But you can understand that Megan Fox, a professional journalist, and that umbrella guy known as Tug, a professional in the field of psychiatry, is actually interviewing the stepdaughter, and number 2 is going to show up as well.
Do you know if she went to court to get like guardianship of you?
She says that she did. My dad, however, says no, that he never signed any paperwork or anything. So I don't know if maybe he wrote a letter to allow her to do things on his behalf, or I don't know how all that works. It still confuses me to this day. Like the amount of things she had power over, she should not have had power over.
So interestingly enough, and this was in what state where she took you from?
Iowa. We lived both in Iowa and Florida.
Iowa and Florida. All right, because there is apparently no statute of limitations on kidnapping unless, well, there are variations, but Iowa might be a different state. There's a lot of states where there's no statute of limitations on kidnapping. I wonder if that's something you could complain about. It looks like in Iowa, it says there are variations based on specific degree of offense. For kidnapping in the first degree, there is no statute of limitations on that. If there is serious injury, torture, or SA, which I think we could say serious injury applies. And second degree also, but that's with ransom, that has no statute of limitations.
Statute of limitations refers to the timeline where you can file lawsuit against injuries or against something done illegally. Now, there are people coming out of the woodwork to us and to Tug and to Megan and to others. LawTube has picked this up and they're sharing it everywhere. There are men that she destroyed and manipulated with lies. There are children she destroyed and manipulated with lies who are now adults. The reality is this. We're not the only ones that are going to have lawsuit against LIEnette. There are many that we are attempting to help with LawTube in front of the camera and behind the camera. There are so many people coming forward at this point, might as well just file a class action lawsuit against her.
All other kidnappings fall under third-degree Class C felony, and the statute of limitations is not specified. So I don't know if this is something that interests you, but if you do believe there might have been a illegal taking of you and your sister, you might ask law enforcement if that's something, if you were interested in that.
So my sister is her biological daughter. I still talk to her. She's been my sister since I was little, and we have a great relationship. She was wronged by LIEnette as well in many ways. But she was allowed to take her, but it was just me that she somehow manipulatively got. I don't know how else to put it. But yeah, it's
wow. That's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable, Ashley. I'm really, really sorry.
When I got sent that report from my therapist, I didn't know that it existed. For all these years, I had no idea that existed, because to me, as a child/teenager, living through that, it was like nobody cared, and nobody was doing anything to help me. Sorry.
Please.
So when I saw that, I completely broke. Like, I sobbed for hours, because not only the fact of realizing other people saw what was going on and they were trying to help me, but also the fact of knowing how little she actually cared was not, I don't want to say it broke my heart, but it kind of did. It broke my childhood heart, if that makes sense.
It does.
Because here's this person that I gave literally everything to, that I stood up for, that I loved for all these years, and then to read that and to see how little I meant to her then, as well as how little I meant to her just throughout my whole life, just completely broke any heart of that child that I was. Like,
even though she felt like she didn't mean anything to LIEnette, she means everything to us, right? I mean, the What the Hales family, the LawTube family, they've come together in this power collab that are trying to protect civil rights, trying to protect children. And even though this stepdaughter is a high-functioning, incredible adult now, that child's heart still needs mended. And we can shower her with love. We love her. She deserved love from the very moment LIEnette met her, but she didn't receive it. But now we know her, and we can continue to give her all the love that she deserved from day one.
And all these people that don't know her, that are standing behind her and saying, oh, that's not true. I'm sorry. How are you going to look at literal proof, a legal document, and tell me that I'm lying? How are you going to watch my videos of me literally breaking down, reliving all of this crap. I will try to keep my language to a minimum.
These fans or followers or supporters of LIEnette and John CROOK, number one, prove that they are public figures, right? Number two, prove that birds of a feather flock together. When you start looking into their history, we've got individuals that must report wherever they live because they've had intense, horrific crimes against children, against women, against there's somebody that's out there creating things right now, and their son is a serial, and I ain't talking Count Chocula or Honeycombs or Fruity Pebbles, killer. And these are the individuals that rally around this psychotic woman and this disturbed man with bandages wrapped up to his crotch. These are horrible people who have facts put in front of them every single day. One of them, a jokelist that truly only tries to get fame by representing the evil and the horrific things that individuals have done, such as LIEnette. I would never, ever in a million years want any of those individuals to claim that they were fans or supporters of What the Hales.
I did, though, see in the chat, there were people who were saying, or I actually got an email from someone who's watching to say that the people who have been supporting LIEnette are claiming that you wrote a letter of recommendation for LIEnette when she wanted to adopt the baby. I don't know if that's true. I'm just asking about that. And
so again, and I went over this in my videos as well, and I have said it, I don't know how many times, that letter was not for adoption. So when Lacey told me that she was taking care of this girl that was pregnant, that she was on drugs, that she was trying to get her clean, and that she was going to try and get the baby so that because the mom was trying to abort her, and I am 100% against abortion. I do not apologize for that at all. But she, she pulled at every heartstring for that baby of mine, or of mine for that baby, that I wrote a recommendation for guardianship. Now, she likes to claim that in that letter that I sang her praises and yada, yada, yada. I purposely and methodically wrote that letter probably about 10 times just so that I did not put in there that she was a good mom or that she was a good mom to me or anything like that, because of the fact that she was not. I was not under the impression that she was going to try and adopt the baby. As far as my knowledge, she was just going to take her until the grandmother could take her.
And here's more of LIEnette's manipulation. She told the grandmother, and how do we know? Because the grandmother has spoken with us and the family members, that they would have access to this child at any point in time, except she went and isolated, alienated the child from them. How'd she do that? She found us in Otter Creek, and she's posted this. This isn't us telling you this. She's posted this. She removed the child because of her snot-nosed brat siblings that were coming over. So who did she find? Jeremy and George. Where? Otter Creek, where no one goes unless you're trying to hide in the middle of the woods so stalkers don't find you. And what had happened? Well, the stalker purchased property right across the street from us, manipulated the biological family, and manipulated us in the process.
So, no, I did not write a recommendation letter for adoption because I definitely would not have done that.
Well, it's understandable anyway that someone who, even someone who is you and who treats you terribly, like you have said, you had feelings for her, you loved her as a mother, and it is not unheard of for people who are in your situation to still continue to try and get their approval and love, even when you think
Right.
you can't get it. So they're good at talking you into doing things and, vouching for them or whatever. And that's completely understandable. And that is,
Mhm.
if that's what some people are using to say that that you are not telling the truth, it's outrageous. That's an outrageous claim, and it should be dismissed immediately, because we have
Right.
seen the records. We have seen your psychologist's report. And I am just so sorry that this has happened to you. I did not get through the end of the second video or the third. So I had not heard that story. So I'm sorry that you had to repeat it again.
Oh, well,
But
and
yeah.
I can't remember if it was on my Mama of Boys page, or I also have another one, because she knows my Mama of Boys page, but she doesn't know my other one. So I was trying to get my story out there without her stalking me and sending people to comment on them. But yeah, so I don't remember which page they got put on.
She's gonna have a little more problem about commenting here or anything, because her. I mean, really, I don't care. I mean, she can comment all she wants. She can try to drive traffic here, but her, she's not gonna silence you on that.
Yeah. Your sister, who I think, is that Samantha?
So I have Samantha is my sister from my biological mom. My other sister is Lindsay, which is Lacey's youngest daughter.
Okay. All right. Is she, and you still are real close with her?
Yes.
That's interesting. So, oh, whoops. There she is. She's back. Okay. So do any of LIEnette's children, I don't know how many children LIEnette has, or do any of them still have relationships with her?
No. She has 2 daughters, and neither one of them talk to her.
Wow. That's not surprising, I guess, knowing what we know.
Yeah. They were a lot quicker to see her bullshit and call her out on it than I was, unfortunately.
What do you think about seeing that the document that talks about all of that? I mean, it was very strong. Like I said, this is my background for mental health, and that is the strongest worded document I've ever seen given to a court there. Do you think it only talks about one incident there, though? I mean, do you feel like you had advocates after, like you went in and talked about what?
So, and that's the thing, that one document states one incident. If everybody in the chat can just imagine that for a second, and that wasn't even the worst, not even close to the worst of what I went through. Just imagine for a second, the balls of this woman to speak to her quote unquote child in front of people like that. Imagine what was done behind doors.
This is the document that they're referring to, and we've gone over that already. And behind doors, well, they're not very good at keeping their mouths and their volume down, because the residents around them in Otter Creek are all willing to testify in court exactly what goes on behind closed doors. Oh, wait, that's right. They don't even have a house. They live in things on that property.
So for me, like I said, it broke my heart reading that. But then again, I went through so much worse. And so it was kind of validating for me, to know that people were actually paying attention. And after that incident, I believe, if I am remembering correctly, after that incident is when we had the in-home worker. And at first, I didn't like him. because he bought into all her bullshit, like automatically. We met him the first time at a Subway, and while we were sitting there waiting for him, she was yelling and screaming at me and calling me every name in the book. And then as soon as he walked through the door, she completely did a 360 and was like, "Oh, hi, we've been sitting here waiting for you," and blah, 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 nicey, nicey. And then I don't remember how long he was involved. I do remember when I got taken. I had gotten off the bus, and it had to have been, I don't remember if it was around Halloween time or what the reason was, but our bus driver was handing out candy for everyone, which is something that he always did for everybody. He would just randomly give us candy. He was cool. But I had gotten some candy from him, and I got off the bus and I walked in the door, and I don't know why I didn't hide it, because I knew what was going to happen if she saw it, but I didn't hide the fact that I had candy in my hand. So I walked in the door, and she saw that I had candy in my hand, and she completely lost her mind. Accused me of stealing it. Where I would have stolen it from, I literally just got out of school. But accused me of stealing it, was yelling and screaming at me, just completely going off. Well, she didn't know that the in-home worker was literally on the outside of the front door, and he was listening to everything. He waited to knock because he wanted to hear what was going on. Finally, I guess he had heard enough. He knocked on the door, and of course she went from yelling and screaming to, "Oh, hi, we weren't expecting you today." And he just told her, "Nope, I heard it all. I'm not talking to you." He looked around her, looked at me and said, "Grab your stuff and let's go." So I literally grabbed a armful of clothes, and I stuffed them in the bag. She tore the bag from my hands, so I picked up what I could off the floor, and I walked out the door. And then we drove around for 2 hours because he had nowhere for me to go. Finally found a foster home that had a space for me, and that was that.
Wow.
You must be thinking then, how did she get the current child that she has? Well, she conned and she scammed. She met a family on Facebook. Now, she did not go through a conventional adoption agency. No adoption agency would ever allow her to adopt, knowing her history, knowing her past. This was a private adoption. If it's even legal, that's still up in the air and is going to be challenged. And this was during COVID as well. So the world is shutting down. Things are happening over Zoom, and she's lying on documentation. And the whole family now knows about her lies because more and more are being exposed on a daily basis.
And how old were you at the time?
Oh, let's see. I was 14, 15, maybe.
Oh my God. What a trial. What a trial at that age. I have a 14-year-old. It is so hard to be 14, even when you have a loving, supportive home. It is so hard to be a 14-year-old girl. I cannot imagine what you've been through. I cannot imagine this. This is hideous, and it should never have happened. You should have been given all the love and support that all 14-year-olds deserve. And this is just, it's impossible to imagine. And I'm sure that you are telling your story not for no reason and not just to say it, but because there's another child who is going who could suffer the same experiences and maybe already is.
Right. And I would hope that because she looks at Harley as her own, that she wouldn't put her through any of what I went through, but I highly doubt it. It's just the way she is. I mean, we've seen in videos that she yells at Harley. I mean, leaves her sit in a car for hours on end. That's not motherly. Oh my God, when that Fish and Game officer went out there and she was talking about the nails in the glass and Harley being barefoot running around, I'm like, are you literally insane? And then I thought about, oh wait, yes, you are insane. You don't think about things like these. Like, I was sick to my stomach watching that video because of the fact that I know what Harley is going through. And it kills me.
Did you see anything when you were watching those videos? Did you see anything about the way that the living conditions are that you recognized? What was it? Has LIEnette's living conditions gotten worse since you were with her, or is this something, the way she lives, like in the trash and the, not that everything is a wreck? Is that new, or is this how she's always been?
Oh no, that's normal. Except now she doesn't have children to clean it for her. So yeah. I mean, I would not want to see what the inside of her shed looks like. It's probably disgusting.
We do know a little bit about the inside of her shed because she's so proud of it. And it is disgusting. Can you imagine dropping a number 2 in a dry bucket, no water? If you've ever had to do that out in the woods, in an emergency, anything like that, the stench is horrendous. The water kind of encapsulates everything and holds that down. Now, the stench over there is already horrendous. You could almost smell it driving by from the road. Now you got the stench of Crook's knee as well. Remember, he's septic. It's filthy. The living conditions are horrific. And it's illegal. There is no occupancy permit. This is not a tiny home. There is nothing, absolutely nothing. And yeah, the county is now getting involved.
How many years were you in that situation? I'm curious. Like, at what age did that start and what age did it end?
Like I said in my video, I don't know when it changed. My best guess would be probably when I was able to really think for myself and kind of come into my own person. I mean, I remember 10-ish, we were constantly fighting. And I wanted out of there all the time, but I don't remember if it was any earlier than that it changed, or if it was around 10 that it started getting bad. But pretty much as soon as I became my own person, I would think is when it really started, because I wasn't just blindly doing whatever she wanted me to do.
So the chat is very insistent that your sister Samantha, she would like to join. Would you like to have her join you? Will that help? I'm totally okay if you wanted to continue, and just let you talk. It's up to you.
No, that's fine with me. You can put her in.
Okay. Do you want to just forward her the link that I sent you? It's the same one will work for her.
Yeah.
Or do you want me to do it? I just have to, I would have to have her give me or send me an email.
Yeah, it might be easier for you to do it, because I'm on my phone and it will probably kick me.
Okay, sure. So Tug, do you mind putting my email back up on the screen for Samantha?
Yeah, give me a second. It'll take me a minute. I'm a boomer here. Give me a second.
Okay.
All right, there we go.
Really
Have you-
quick,
Yeah, go ahead.
I keep seeing people say, please don't use the child's name. Lacey puts her name on everything that she does. Everything. So the fact that she has made her name public, it's kind of a free for all now. You know what I mean? I agree
Right.
with, not blasting it for views or whatever like that. I completely understand that and I agree.
Mm-hmm.
However, when I'm talking about my story about Lacey or whatever else, I'm not going to censor myself because somebody doesn't like the fact that I use the kid's name. Lacey puts it out there for people she has never met before and asks them for money for her. And she has multiple Facebook pages with Harley's name on the top of the page. She has multiple GoFundMe pages with Harley's name on the page. So the fact that she, as her quote unquote parent, has put that name out there, it is pretty much a free for all. So, I mean, sorry, that just
Right.
irritates me.
LIEnette exploits the child to try and get money. It's horrific. It's horrendous. And at the same time, we should be using the name because we actually identify with people based on their name. That's what gives them significance, their name. If we were just talking about this faceless, nameless individual, do you think we would have our heartstrings hurting so bad right now? No, we want to know who these people are, and we want to help them and ultimately save them.
I agree with you that it is irritating, and it's a name is not everyone already knows because like everything in this case, LIEnette put it out there first.
Yeah, exactly.
Like everything, like the poop bucket in the shed, that wasn't, Jeremy didn't sneak over to her property and take that picture. She posted it herself. Everything that she has complained
Right.
about that people are saying, including the abuse claims. And in fact, I promised that I would show this video that I have that shows LIEnette in her own words saying that there has been abuse from the man she is sharing property with, John CROOK. And it's in her own words. So Tug, I'm going to share this, but don't put it up on the screen yet because I got to make it big.
Okay.
All right. When you see that it's big, you can put it up.
All right. I'm going to pull your banner down for a minute so we
Okay.
can see it. All right. You ready? You good?
Yes.
And it looks like it's big. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
Ex-spouse that I share my land and stuff with, they know his is towards me verbally, emotionally. Not a good thing. Not a good.
No, it's not a good thing. She also said it in court that he is abusive, and so she's staying on property with a child with an abusive man by her own admission. She's saying he's abusive. She's trying to deflect the abuse. It's not coming from her, it's coming from him or whatever. But that's another red flag that the social services have not taken seriously. These are videos that she put on social media from her own. Nobody went in there and forced her to say that.
Right.
Well, I noticed in the notes. I'm sorry, go ahead.
And this goes both ways. That's what people aren't getting as well. John is not any better. However, to make it known, she yells and screams at him all day. He yells and screams at her all day. It's a back and forth thing. They're abusing each other. So the fact that she's saying, "Oh, he's abusing me. Oh, boo-hoo. Cry some more." She's to him as well, and that's what Harley's living in. Just yelling and screaming and cursing at each other and calling each other names all day long. So I just laugh anytime that she says, "Oh, he just hit me." I mean, what goes around comes around.
And you know
Sorry.
John Cook? You've had have you had experience with him?
Yes.
Would you say that he is a safe person around a child?
That's hard. That's hard because when I lived with them in Florida, I was there with my oldest son when he was 2, and I actually left because of their fighting. John, however, was very good towards my son. He loved having him around. He would take him out and play. He would take him swimming or, play with him in the living room, watch TV shows with him. He would do all kinds of stuff with my son. Would I leave him alone with my son now? Probably not. Probably
Well,
not.
it's good to hear though that at least that he may not be an extra danger anyway. But that the situation that we've seen and from what I just can't understand why social services hasn't at least stated a safety plan, and I just don't understand it. I don't understand why they do the things they do, and I just want to say thanks for coming out and telling your story because there's always this, especially when the authorities aren't doing anything, there's always this idea that, oh, maybe this is all being made up and this is not real. And what we're seeing, it feels like we're being gaslit, So it's just important that you have done this, and I just appreciate it. And I know how hard it is. So just want to say thank you for that.
Yeah,
it
took me a while to get the nerve to even make the first video, let alone the rest of them, because of the fact that not only was I reliving a lifetime of trauma, but because of the fact that I knew that if I put my story out there, she would retaliate, and she did. She claimed that posting pictures of my kids, stating, why would she leave her kids with me if I was such a bad mom? First of all, I never left my children with her ever. We went and, that's a lie. Let me correct myself. My oldest son did go and stay with her for 2 weeks. When he was younger, I can't remember why. It might have been around the time that my middle son was born, if I'm thinking correctly. But yes, I did allow my son to go down there to play on the beach and stuff when I was not able to. He stayed for 2 weeks and then he came back. And that was it. Like, never again was she ever left with my children. She came to visit maybe once, twice. And anytime she was around my kids, she always made sure that she took pictures. Well, those are the pictures that she was sharing, saying, oh, well, if I was such a bad mom, then why did she... No. You took pictures when we came to see you or when you came to see us one time. And that was, let's see, 8+ years ago. She met my stepdaughter once, and she has never met my youngest. My middle son doesn't know who she is. My oldest doesn't even know who she is. I say the name Lacey, and he's like, who?
Remember, Lacey is LIEnette, LIEnette is Lacey. And you can't choose your relatives. Can't even choose your step-parents. But you can choose your family. And family's not only blood. And frankly, Ashley is now part of the What the Hales family. If she wants to be. And so are her kids. We'll lavish them with love. And I know all of you will as well.
So she keeps claiming, oh, I had a great relationship. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. anytime she called, it wasn't to talk to me or my kids. It was to be about her kids and her grandkids. And never once did she call to ask how my kids were. Never sent a birthday card for my kids. Never sent presents for my kids. Never anything. Yet she would always have presents for her other grandkids. She would always have cards for her other grandkids, even though she wasn't allowed to see them.
How did you discover the Hales channel, that they were talking about this? How did you find that out? And what was that like when you discovered that there was someone almost telling your story about another child?
I found out from someone that watches their page. I don't remember how she found me. But she messaged me, and at first I felt bad afterwards. At first I was like, she said something along the lines of, do you know Lacey or LIEnette or Michelle? And I was like, I want nothing to do with that woman. I want nothing. I went off, and I felt really bad afterwards because she turned out to be a very sweet lady that was just trying to let me know that they were going after her. I was like, I am so sorry.
That must have felt really interesting, and maybe how did it feel to find out there was someone standing up to her and calling out what you knew to be true?
I was ecstatic. Like, I cannot even describe the feeling that I had. I was laughing uncontrollably. I was smiling for the next few days. Like, it was a great feeling to know that somebody else was going after her, and that something may be being done about all of her lies and manipulations and everything. It was a great feeling.
Mm.
And I was surprised.
What is it? How do you react when you see the criticism from some of the people saying that Jeremy he's doing this for clicks, and he's doing this to make money?
I mean, how are people that are, how do I say this? I pretty much just don't listen or pay attention to those comments, because if he is getting paid, who cares?
Exactly.
Honestly, who cares? It is his life. He is sharing his life. That's not for anybody to discredit or say, you can't do that. It's his life. He can do whatever he wants.
LIEnette and Crook care. That's why they stalked me here. And it is my life. And they invaded my life, stalked my life, and made my life a living. Well, it was Hales. We're not over yet. We've got a whole lot more to come, and stepsister number 2 is going to show up next.